Welcome to the Law, Your Money, and You. I'm Roberta Sapphire, an attorney in Sharon, Massachusetts.
And I'm Camille Barron. I am a healthcare advisor and financial organizer, also in Sharon, Massachusetts.
And our guest for today is sort of Camille.
And Roberta.
Okay, so Camille
We're the guests.
Start. We're the guests.
So a lot of people have been asking us about different topics, just random, and I thought we could kind of cover those. The one thing that I know I get a lot of questions about, and it's all year round, it isn't just one time a year, has to do with health insurance. And that's a real loaded topic in this day and age.
10 times a day.
Yeah, right.
I hear it 10 times a day. Yeah,
At least.
Everybody's
At least 10
wondering.
times.
I still don't understand it. It seems like it's constantly changing.
Because it is.
Oh.
Yeah, it is constantly,
Okay.
it not just seems it.
Yeah,
it
because
is.
one person sent a email in, please ask Camille, blah, 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 and then the next person says, blah, 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 and it seems to contradict itself sometimes. But why don't you give our guests what they can expect for as they get older,
sure.
younger?
We can start with
anything.
people who are either on Medicare or approaching age 65.
Okay, how old do you have to be on Medicare?
65, although there is an exception, because there's always an exception to everything, isn't there?
Oh, I
You
don't-
know as a
I don't
lawyer
know.
that,
Well, yeah.
right?
We used to say the decision by the judge depends. He makes the decision, then he finds a reason
Yes.
why.
Right.
Afterwards.
Rebecca, is that right? Yeah. We have our
Rebecca's
audience today. So most people,
Don't quote me, anybody. Yeah.
most people are eligible for Medicare when they turn 65.
Okay.
But for people who are younger, if they have been on Social Security disability for 2 years, they're automatically enrolled in Medicare.
Really? So they get Social Security disability plus Medicare?
No, they're instead of getting, well, they can get the disability income, but their health insurance.
Oh, for the
insurance-
health. They can
yeah.
get health insurance through Medicare as
Once
a
they've,
Social Security
surpassed 2
disability.
years.
So, I notice, and people have been telling me too, because I don't have any young ones that are on Social Security disability, but apparently there's a trend for people to have their kids diagnosed with certain ailments, diseases, or whatever you have, which qualify them for Social Security disability. Have you heard of that? Or
Well,
what's going on?
unfortunately, it isn't just children. It is something that there are some, I wouldn't say they're the majority, but I think you find that with any type of benefit, you find there are people who are going to take advantage of it. And the government is very, very strict about who they will allow to be on Social Security.
Really?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
And how come so many more people can get on it?
That is out of my realm. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But what I can tell you is a lot of people, when they first apply, are denied.
Oh,
And then they have to appeal, and then they may be approved. But they're very strict. They monitor it very closely because they know that there can be abuses of it. With respect to the health insurance aspect, people under 65, if they have been disabled for 2 years, are eligible for Medicare. But the majority of people that was intended for were going to be people 65 and older. And what we find all the time is a lot of people have been working, so they've been covered by their employer health plan. And for a lot of these people, can I borrow your pen?
sure.
All they have to do, every year, all they have to do is check off a box, and that's it. They make their selection for the upcoming year as to which health insurance plan they want. Now imagine, all of a sudden, you're faced with navigating this complex maze of Medicare, and you have to know all the ins and outs, and you have to figure out which supplemental plan you're going to have and which prescription drug plan. And a lot of people feel overwhelmed because they haven't had to do this before.
Well, what's a supplemental plan?
Well, let me think of a three-legged stool. You see like the camera, the base of the camera, the easel,
Three legs.
the three-legged stool. I know our audience can't see it, but there is a a three-legged sort of a stool there.
Write me and I'll send you a picture of the camera.
So unlike your health insurance when you've been employed, Medicare is different because there are three different components of it. First of all,
Taking notes.
there's Medicare Parts A and B, which are subsidized by the government. Part A covers inpatient care, hospitals and rehab facilities if you're discharged from the hospital, inpatient hospice. And so that covers that.
Is this no matter what age you are, or this is over 65 age?
It's both. It could be any age, whoever has
Oh,
Medicare.
okay, whoever has, oh, okay, so Medicare is not limited just to over 65.
If somebody's been disabled for 2 years, then they really
and that can happen to people 21, 31.
Sure, it
Yeah.
could.
Okay.
So the Part A is the
clear.
inpatient.
This is what you do. This is your profession.
Right.
Yeah.
Why do you think I look like this today? Because that's what I've been doing all day.
Oh, okay. Well, I think you look good. Don't she look good, audience? Does anybody want to apply? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Part B is your outpatient care. If you go to visit a doctor, if you go in to have a lab
Okay.
test or outpatient surgery, anything where you don't stay overnight. And so Part A and B are your what they call original Medicare, subsidized by the government.
Okay.
And in general, that pays about 80% of your medical bills. It doesn't pay prescriptions, that's separate. So about
okay,
80%.
so the drugs are separate.
Right, 80% or so. Now, if you're in a pretty good health, for you to have to pay the other 20% is not a big deal. But when you think about people who become very ill, or maybe they've had a bad accident or some sort of an episode where they depend heavily on the medical system, that 20% can really add up because there's no cap on it.
Do you think that some of these hospitals and doctors perform the same service but charge a different amount for when people go there? I've heard of that. Like if it's in a doctor's office and one of his rooms is counted as a hospital, it's one rate, and if it's at the hospital, it's another rate. Yeah.
I think I have heard of that, but that's not really in the rules, so to speak. It's not something.
Oh, because I really
I think it
have
may be
seen
allowed under certain circumstances, but it shouldn't be taken advantage of.
Well, I think it is, because there was a whole rush a few years ago for doctors to designate one of the rooms and call it an operating room.
There's a whole.
Do you notice that they're talking to more and more procedures? They don't call them operations; they call them a procedure. Oh, I have to get my leg off. It's a procedure.
Right. You know, there's a whole division of Medicare that concentrates strictly on fraud and abuse.
No.
Because it is rampant out there. People put in claims when they're not legitimate. There's all kinds of things. But I'm not saying that what you're saying is fraud or abuse. But
do you want to touch on the illegal immigrants issue and covering them with Medicare and health plan, or you want to leave that out?
Well, you know what? Why don't I finish
Whatever you
answering the
want.
question about what Medicare?
Oh, okay.
Because that's
well,
a
go
little
ahead.
three-legged stool. Otherwise,
Oh,
we'll forget it.
okay.
And people are going to be wondering, what about the second and third leg? We talked about the first
Oh,
already.
okay.
Right.
That's
We don't want to do that, do
Roberta
we?
going from one thing to the other.
That's
No,
okay.
go ahead. Whatever you're comfortable.
So we
with.
have the A and B covers about 80%. So what the industry has done is they've introduced supplement insurance, Medicare supplement insurance, which is designed to pick up part or most of that 20%.
That's good.
So like if you have a Medicare supplement, in other states it might be a Plan G, and our equivalent of the Plan G, new for 2020, is Sapphire, Medex Sapphire in the Blue Cross.
How do they
Or-
spell the sapphire?
With two
though?
Ps.
Oh, with two P's. They're like the planes. You know, if you're a sapphire, you can get on the plane before the other.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I'll tell you something funny. I mean, this is out of thing again. Yeah. You'll get to finish. We're just taking. You got to be kidding here. I'm waiting to hear my group called on the plane, right? So I hear sapphire. So I go up there and I go, oh, I think you just called us to get on. You know, and it's Jerry and Roberta Sapphire. No, 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 she said. She said, that's the
boarding group?
Yeah, the boarding group. There's a boarding group called Sapphire.
What airline was that?
It was either JetBlue or American.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I said, oh, well, I thought you said Sapphire. Look. She says, yeah, that's right. Your name is Sapphire. You know something? Go on now.
Oh, good for you. Yeah. You couldn't have made that up if you tried.
No, it only, and I wasn't looking for it to work, but I was so happy that it did.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
From now on, anytime you're going on a plane and they call Sapphire, just go. And if anybody stops you, say, I'm a Sapphire.
I'm a Sapphire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank goodness Jerry has that last name.
Yeah, it comes
You married
in
the
handy.
right guy.
Yeah. Oh, you're so funny. Yeah, okay, go ahead. Somebody keeps interrupting you. So this is interesting, this supplement insurance.
That's right.
How does that work? How do you qualify for that? Or is it
anyone.
Just, anyone? It just kicks in?
No, you have to apply for it.
Oh.
So like if you just didn't apply, you would just have Medicare Parts A and B. But you can apply for the Medicare supplement plan, and you'll have that 20%, most of that 20% covered.
You can see that I know nothing about this, but how do you apply? I mean, how much is it and all that?
Well, you can apply online, or you can do it on the phone or in paper. It's about $200 a month on average.
So that's another $200. How do they expect people to retire and pay for all their premiums?
It's difficult for a lot of people. But on the other hand, for some people who are what they call high-income earners, they are required to pay, let me back up for a minute. The standard monthly premium for Medicare Part B this year is $144, I think. They just went up. So it was $135.50.
So now it went up to $144?
$144, I believe, is the new number. And for most people, that's just the standard amount. But for people,
Part A?
Part A, for most people, you don't have to pay as long as you've worked and contributed to the Social Security taxes, the Medicare taxes.
Okay, yeah.
People who, say, have worked for the state or a municipality, they wouldn't have contributed because they have a different system.
They have a pension.
They have a pension, but they also have a different system, so they would have to pay for the Part A. So the supplement plans are, they wrap around that Medicare A and B, and it'll cover excess above and beyond what Medicare A and B will pay.
And that's on an average of how much?
About $200 a month.
So now we're up to about $350.
Those are the high-end supplements. Some of them are lower, but they might be less.
Would that include dental?
No.
Oh, so that includes the part that's not covered.
That's right, medical.
How about when you get a bill and it says the doctor charged $3,000? This was funny. It was over $3,000 for a visit in the office because they listed it as an emergency visit. But anyway, it was over $3,000. It was amazing. And then so you got that visit. That's would the supplemental insurance cover that? That's just a.
They would.
Well. Anyway, here's my point. The point is, you get this thing in the month, and you get a monthly bill, and it says so and so charged $3,200. We paid $200. You might have to pay. You may have to pay $3,000 or something like that.
That is called an explanation of benefits.
Oh, an explanation of benefits.
EOB.
Okay.
It's not a bill,
EOB,
and it says on the top it's not a bill, but a lot of people mistake it for a bill. I had a client call me early one morning. Why did I just get this bill? You told me I wasn't going to get billed for these things.
Oh my God.
And I tried to calm him down. All he got was an explanation of benefits, and he saw the amount on there that you may have to pay. That's only because when they process these claims, anything that's not covered, that the doctor charged you that's above and beyond what Medicare paid, they put on there you may have to pay, but very rarely would you have to pay that amount.
What do they They call the clinic, that you walk-in clinic.
The urgent care?
Yeah, they sent us a bill.
They did.
Yeah.
You had Medicare, supplement didn't cover it.
Oh, you know something? I didn't even look into that,
Oh.
if the supplement covered it.
It
because
should've.
they sent another bill,
It
so I
should have.
figured I'd pay the $36.
Oh, no, you shouldn't have had to pay that.
Oh, it was only $36,
Well,
but, you know.
I know the supplement you have, and you shouldn't have had to pay it.
Oh, can I go back?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was like a year ago?
Why not? I mean, really, just think that's $2.
I can have my assistant look into
Yeah.
it. It cost me more to pay her to look into it than it
Right.
costs that. Now I know why my daughter just pays, you know, like if she gets something, she just pays it rather than argue.
Oh, I know, because it can be really time-consuming to argue these things.
Yeah, that's
And,
funny. Okay.
the third
so
piece-
this is very interesting. So
The
you
third
understand-
piece is the prescription drugs.
Oh yeah, now
and-
what's the story? Because some of these prescription drugs, I know people who go without their medicine because they say, well, my co-payment is $500. How can it be $500 for like a salve or something?
It's all dependent on the drug companies and the contracts that they make with the prescription drug insurance.
Boy, that's
Well, you know there's a
something.
national problem with drug pricing. I mean, that's been in the headlines all the time, and it's totally out of control.
Meanwhile, they give you a prescription for a drug, which the side effect you get, which they now give you a prescription for B drug to take care of that other side effect.
And
which
then you might get
end
a
up-
side effect from that one.
Yeah.
There
Yeah,
are
that
some, it's
happens.
very sad, but we have clients who, God help them, but they're paying like $7,000 a year for one drug.
Oh my God.
Because some of these specialty
Terrible.
drugs are hugely expensive. It's
That's
really
terrible.
It is.
What about the cures that they had years ago, the herbal cures? Can they look, would that be good to advise them? Look for something that has a herb in it?
They could, but you know, they could, like if they're taking a prescription, there might be some interactions, so they would have to go to a qualified herbalist
Oh my
to help.
God,
But,
really?
you know,
I never heard
there
of
are
that,
things, there are
qualified herbalist.
some programs out there that'll allow you a discounted price if you get a coupon.
Oh yeah,
some
I
of
think
that-
it's Rx Good or something.
There's one of that, that's one of them, Good RX.
Yeah,
but
Good
there's a whole
RX.
slew of other ones too.
We used that once.
Mm.
There was a drug, it was like almost $300, and then someone told us about that. Jerry ended up paying $12.50.
Sometimes you can get a
exact
good
same
deal.
thing.
Other times there's no deal
why?
at all. Sometimes there are no deals at all with that. It just depends on the drug.
That's horrible.
It is.
That's
So
horrible.
anyway, people, whether or not people take prescriptions, they should have the Medicare prescription drug, also known as Part D, because if they should end up taking a prescription and they don't have the coverage, they're going to pay full price for it. So it's not a good idea to go without it. You could get the cheapest plan out there just so you have something.
How much do the plans run on that Part D prescription?
The premiums range from about $13 or $14 a month at the low end, up to, you know, could be close to $200 a month. But it depends
Really?
on the prescriptions that a person takes.
Yeah.
Because we look at the total price, we look at the premiums plus the co-pays and co-insurance, and we look at it as a combination and estimate which one is going to give them the lowest expected out-of-pocket cost.
So years ago, when people didn't have these drugs, they just died early. Is that it?
Well, I mean, the whole medical profession, there's always changes and new developments, but like we didn't have testing for a lot of things back even a generation ago.
Do you think these prices are going up? They are going up because people are getting older and lasting longer?
Well,
Is
yes.
that what's going on?
In fact, yes, and the same thing is true of the diseases that people get when they're older, because no longer do they die suddenly. In many cases, people don't die suddenly anymore. They linger.
3 that died suddenly.
Well, you're an exception. Your family's an exception.
Yeah, well, I got some that lingered too.
Yeah, I know.
We got everything.
I know. I know.
So what? Yeah, they usually linger. That's too bad.
Yeah, so they recover from whatever the episode was, but then they're weakened, they're debilitated,
Yeah.
and then they go on for a while longer, and then they may have another episode, and then so on and so on.
I had a friend whose mother was sitting there, and she says, "I'm dying not from the cancer I had, but from the cure they gave me 10 years ago." Isn't that something, the poor thing?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, we should have, I want everybody to send in how you would rather die, either long or you just want to pop off. That ought to be interesting, won't it? Meanwhile, the whole thing's frightening. The whole thing's frightening. That's it. So, do you ever have people that call you up and you just don't know what to tell them, or you always know what to tell them, but they just won't accept what you're telling them?
I won't say they won't accept it. What happens is they might be unhappy, say if they have a prescription drug that's very, very expensive.
Yeah.
Or if they, and this is what I was going to mention, the standard premiums for these things for Part B is $144.
Yeah,
there is also something called an IRMA.
IRMA?
IRMAA. And that stands
Double
for,
A.
yes, it stands for Income Related Monthly Adjustment Amount.
Oh my God, how do you remember all that?
And that is a surcharge.
Used to be my friend Irma. Do you know that one?
IRMA?
Yeah,
No.
My friend Irma. You never heard of that?
No, what was it, a program?
It was either radio or TV. Do you know?
I don't remember. But anyway, these IRMAs are surcharges.
I'll look it up.
That when you have achieved a certain income level based on your tax returns of 2 years prior, you have a surcharge to pay. And it could be upwards of $300 or more a month.
Does it matter what state you live in, or that's federal?
That's federal.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
So a lot of people complain about that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a blessing and a curse, because they've done very well in life to have accumulated so much and have such a high income. But it also means they have to pay more for the insurance. So
and then you need a good estate plan.
Yeah.
So that you don't have to.
That's true.
You don't have to pay, and that's always interesting. By the way, this is the You've Got to Be Kidding bag, which we're at, and I noticed there's a little hole in it where.
Had you had it overstuffed?
No, I think what happened was all the You've Got to Be Kidding stuff ran out.
So now there's nothing in the bag. You're left holding the bag.
I'm left holding the bag, because I think most of it's out on the table anyway. But anyway, you got any good You've Got to Be Kidding stories to tell?
No, but I think you do. I think you do. You were talking about your family and talking about whether they died suddenly or lingered. And I think you have a brother who was in the, he was sort of...
Oh, that funny
and
story
he
there?
found
Okay.
out that
Yeah,
he told
that
the
is.
nurse thought that he had another relative from a different background.
Yeah, that is funny. We fondly call him Marvelous Marvin. Everybody loved him. He had such a good nature. Anyway, he was dying. There's somebody who was dying from cancer from the smoking, and he's still, a lot of them, they still smoke.
Well, yeah.
You know?
I suppose they figure, what's the use now?
I stopped smoking maybe 30 years ago, and I remember somebody asking me when I missed it the most, and I said when I was awake. So I figured if I can stop, anyone can stop. Yeah, do you like that one? Yeah. Anyway, the nurse says to my sister-in-law and niece, he's in pain, but he's really at peace. After all, he has his Indian heritage. And my sister-in-law says, Indian heritage? Yeah, he's told me the tribe and everything. She says, I think you got him mixed up with someone else. And she says, oh, no. Well, they said, well, what's the tribe? Oh, it's the Meshuggah tribe. Well, you don't have to. Our Jewish friends will catch on. Meshuggah is a Jewish expression meaning that you're crazy. It's Meshuggah. So we thought that was funny. And then my other brother, he told the story too about how he was in this small town and telling this group of part Indian people and the thing, and that he was part of the Meshuggah tribe, and they got upset and this and that, and they didn't believe him, but he finally convinced them. And my grandniece, who's sitting there, who was in her mid of college, said to her grandfather, "Why didn't you tell me? I could have got a scholarship."
You've got to be kidding.
No, those are funny stories, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think it's about time to wrap things up.
Yeah, let's wrap things up. Let's talk about our latest police officers, are our friends, until they tell us that we got to wind up. But we delivered to East Bridgewater. We're winding up Bellingham, which is a pleasure to work with. They have a lot of ideas and everything. And then we're also working on, because we got a lot of help and a lot of the kids like to help, and we have them from every country, and we're working on edition 3 of the Sharon Police
Fantastic.
Activity book. And what we have done on the last few books and the future books is we've added 4 more pages to each book, which if you ever buy these books where they sell them nationally online, they usually just have 16 pages. Our books had 20, and now they're going to have 24.
Wow.
And the stock is good. Here's this. But the Sharon book is going to have more pictures and different pictures than the other 2 books. So, I mean, we really got some great ideas, because they have a few new police, and all the police. Have you noticed all the policemen are good-looking guys?
Yes, I have.
Isn't that
Yes.
something?
Yep.
They're all...
And didn't we hear from our business manager, Rebecca, who we're going to talk to pretty soon?
Yeah.
But didn't she tell us that the one of the new police officers is anxious to see this 3rd edition?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they can't wait for
He
it.
wants to have a whole thing with the kids and the police. It's really, really a pleasure that they're cooperating. But Sharon's pretty good anyway. And they have, I think, the back cover. This is what Chief Tilden Kaufman retired after 32 years. He drew this picture when he was 6 years old. And now we've found that a lot of these police have pictures. So we said, well, let's have them. We'll put them in the book. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
that's it. And we're happy to hear from you and get all your emails.
Yes, thank you so much for watching. And we'll probably do another episode continuing on the conversation about insurance. But if you have any questions in the meantime, please let us know. Send us an email.
Very interesting.
And remember, we always like to hear from you, because remember, this is your show. The law, your money,
And you.